number 13 from chapter 18. We're given a circuit, and we are asked to determine what the value of R is. So here we have R, and here we have R, and we're asked to determine what that value is. So similarly to the last problem, we can look at this, and this as all being in series. Sorry, as being in series with this thing here. So this one is in series with the sum of these, which are in parallel. So to make that more clear, these three things are in parallel. These two are in series. So we sum these up, and it'll give us an effective resistance, right? Or an equivalent resistance here for this particular one. So let's just start going through it. Hopefully it'll be more clear. Okay, so starting with these in series. So we have R plus 5 ohms. I'm just going to leave the units off for right now. We'll call this R. We'll call this R4. So R plus 5 ohms. These are in series. That's how we're going to do it. So next we have well, we're not going to have 4 resistors, but that's okay. Next, we're going to say that we have this one, 1, 2, 3 resistors in parallel. So then we want to have 1 over 12 ohms from here, 1 over 40 ohms from here, plus 1 over R plus 5, right? And this is all going to be inverse in order to get it in this form. Because recall that equivalent resistance is like this, right? Okay, so we sum this up. What do we get? Oh, we'll call this one R2, by the way. This should have been R3, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. So R2 is equal to all of this. Is that supposed to be 120? Oh, it is 120. I'm sorry. This is 120, not 12. I wrote that down wrong. Okay, so then we have 1 over 120 plus 3 over 120 plus, we'll just do this R plus 5, and this is all inverse, and this is going to give us 4 over 120 plus, which would just be 1 over 30. It's going to be 1 over R plus 5 inverse. So that means that we have R plus 5 plus 1 over 30R plus 150. All inverse. Right? 30R. That should be R. 30R. So I'm going a little fast. I need to be careful. 30 times R plus 30 times 5 will give you 30R plus 150. Okay? So then, that's going to give us 30 ohms times R plus 150 ohms. Remember, because this is inverse, so that's why I'm flipping it. R plus 35 ohms. Wait. 30. I missed a 30. That's what happened. This times this, this times this. Yeah, see, there should be a value of 30. I just didn't write it down. There we go. And so now we have R plus 35. So this is R2. This is these three things in parallel, right? Okay. So this was just a temporary, like a dummy variable, and really we just plugged it in under here. So it doesn't really matter what I called it. We just put it in temporarily, and now we have this, which is going to be summed up this plus this in series. Okay? So now we have R plus R2 because R is simply labeled R, right? R plus R2 equals R plus 30R plus 150 ohms. These are all of our numerical values are in ohms. It's 35, right? This is going to be equal to the equivalent R, which we are told in the beginning that it is 75 ohms. This is equal to 75 ohms, but we're not quite there yet. So what we want to do is simplify a little bit. Well, we actually we can just jump to that step. So 30R plus 150, R plus 35, okay? We want to find the value of R. Remember, we were told this in the beginning of the problem. It's in the book number 13. Okay, so then we end up with 75R. Well, let's do this. Before we move there, we have R squared plus 35R plus 30R plus 150. Right? R over 35. So we're just simplifying our fractions. Not a big deal. They're kind of complicated numbers, but now we have R squared plus 65R plus 150. So I took 35 times 75 here. Then I took R times 75 ohms. It gives you 75R. So this might be a little, that's supposed to be an ohm, not an R. So I have R's and I have ohms. Those are too similar, so I'm trying to leave out the units when I can. So this is just 75 ohms. I take R to the other side. We have 75R. Now, if we simplify a little further, we end up with R squared minus, let me just double check what I have here, minus 10R minus 2475, right? And that's going to be equal to 0. So I just took this to the other side. Sorry, I took this 75R over here, this over here. Now we are left with this. Okay, we solve for R, which is going to be 10 plus or minus 100 minus 4 times 1 times negative 2475. This is all under square root. I'm just using the quadratic formula from algebra. Right? This is quadratic formula. This is going to give us a value of 10 plus or minus 100 plus 4 times 2475 because we have negative, negative. So leaves us with a positive value times 1/2. That's going to be 5. Plus or minus, when you plug this in, you end up with 50. Okay, so then that leaves you with 55 ohms and negative 45 ohms. And so a negative value of resistance is not a thing. We just are left with 55 ohms. So the equivalent resistance for this setup is 55 ohms.